Hey guys, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. I'm here again with Gabby.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so Gabby, what are we talking about today?
So, we were talking a little bit, John. I know we've talked about kind of being in the community and different things that have you've brought to my attention, maybe how people treat you or different things like that. But we're just going to touch a little bit again on that. And, John, have you, when you're out in the community, can you give me any instances where people maybe treated you differently, maybe didn't talk to you directly and talk to staff instead, or like what are some things that people um, often do in the community that stands out to you?
Um, there are I've there are a lot of instances where I would be out with staff, or even when I was younger, when I went out with my parents, and they always went to my mom. Like I remember one time we went to Eaton Park, and we sat down at the table, and they asked to drink stuff. And this waitress looked at my mom and goes, "And what would he have?" And looked at me, and I just sat there. And my mom just looked at her and went, "Why don't you ask him? He could talk."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, really?" And she looked at me and goes, "And what would you have? What would you like?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." I cracked a joke, even though I was like 8. I was like, I think I'll take a shot and a beer. And she like was like, "Oh, like what?" Like she was surprised that I would say something like that, like,
Yeah.
thinking that I was mentally challenged
Mm-hmm.
and not realizing and understanding, even though I was like 8.
Yeah. So do you think people automatically like look at
Oh
your
yeah.
chair and then just think that you're not able to speak?
Not only did I think they see my wheelchair, they automatically go straight to the, well, he's mentally challenged also.
Yeah.
People don't think that just because you're in a wheelchair that you can't be physically mentally there.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now, I have 2 college degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously somewhat smart. And they still do that today. You know, they don't do it as much anymore. But you know, it's really funny. I've had people do the opposite. Never met me, and first time you ever see me, they come up to me and go, "Hey, dude, what's going on? How you doing?" And just talk to me like I'm just a normal person.
Yeah. Do you think that has to do with the experience, like the experiences those people have had,
Possibly,
or maybe the teachings that they've had? Like, I,
possibly,
I feel like,
because I have a lot of times people come up with me and start talking to me like that and go, "You know what? I have a friend who's just like you. The coolest dude ever."
mm-hmm, that's awesome.
Right. So yeah, and I also hate those ignorant people, the ones that just stare.
Yeah.
I'm like, take a picture, it lasts longer. I hate that.
How do you feel about?
I
Do you
mean,
ever get children in the community who will look at your chair or look at
oh
you?
yeah, that don't bother me because they're curious.
Mm-hmm. But do they ever? Do the parents encourage them to come up and talk to you or ask
No,
why,
they
or is it more like don't look, don't look?
yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we've talked about this before. I really feel like it does start with children, and if at a young age someone says don't look, don't stare, don't, it makes you almost think like they're kind of trained to not interact then,
Mm.
right?
I mean, I get it's not nice to stare. And you're supposed to teach your kids that at a young age, so they know not to stare.
Mhm.
But you don't say that in front of somebody with a disability, because
Mhm.
then even though it might not be about you, it might just be the idea of just staring at somebody. But when you say it around a person with disability, that person with disability most of the time thinks it's them.
Mhm.
You know, I've had plenty of kids come up to me and start talking about my wheelchair. I have had actually. I remember one time I was rolling down the street near my house when I lived back at home,
Mhm.
and this little guy, he was like 11 years old, come. I was rolling one way, he was coming back the other way, coming up in front of me. He's on his bike pedaling, and then he swerves right in front of me and stops in front of me and starts talking to me. He's like, hey man, how you doing? I'm like, good. How are you? And he was like, oh, I'm doing good. And he was looking at my chair. He went around my chair. He was looking at it and going, wow, that's a cool machine. I bet you it's cool to be in a wheelchair. And I'm like, well,
He's a
yes and
kid.
yeah. That's what I thought. I'm like, yeah. Like, well, yes and no. He's like, oh yeah, why is the no? I said, you see that bike you're on? Yeah, I can't ride a bike. Do you like playing sports? Do you like to run? Tackle your friends? Chase your friends? Run? Just run? Play football? Play baseball? Play basketball? Yeah, I can't do any of that.
Hmm.
Does fortune have its advantages? Absolutely does. But it's a lot more disadvantages than advantages.
Yeah. And he probably didn't think like that until you told him.
That's what I said. That's what
Hmm.
he said. He's like, I never really thought about that. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry.
Hmm.
It's okay if you think like that.
But you're able to kind of educate him and give him a
Yeah,
different perspective.
that's why I do what I do. That's
Hmm.
why I do this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why, also, when I do my presentations, I want to do like elementary schools
Hmm.
and high schools. It starts
More
with the
stuff
little
like that.
kids.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
It starts
I
with
think we
kids.
just have to make sure we tailor it to the children,
Yes, there's a lot of things we can't talk about, like we would talk about.
or AKA
Yeah,
swear words.
yeah. No swear words.
Yeah,
It's hard for me,
I know it is.
but
Yeah, but like tailoring it more to children.
like if I say the F word, I'll have to say fudge
Yeah,
or shoot or.
because they'll take whatever you have and they'll say
Oh,
John said.
I'm sure they swear, but
Yeah, I know, but
as an adult, you gotta
set an example.
exactly.
Yeah, and like I'm sure too, young kids, you know how they are. They're not afraid to come up
I
and
know.
talk and like afterwards when we go to Slippery Rock, you might have a couple people who come up and say something, but with kids, they might be like, "Hey, I'm trying to check this thing out. What's going
Right,
on?" You know,
right, exactly.
they might come up and talk about it. So
Right.
I think that's something great.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should get started
I think it starts when they're young.
in. Hmm.
I think if they see me when they're younger and they understand, they figure it out.
So they'll have that perspective at a young age and have so much more room to
Right.
grow in their thinking.
Look at the roommate. My roommate.
Mhm.
He works at a daycare,
Mhm. Yep.
and his kids love him.
Yep.
They come up to him, hey, Mister,
Mhm.
how you doing? Good. How are you? And if they start crying or something, and you'll go up to him and just climb on, excuse me, climb on his lap and hug him.
Mhm.
So they're not afraid of him. They were at first, which is every kid you're afraid of.
Yeah.
They'll climb all over him. They'll climb on the back. Excuse me.
But it allows them to be
Terrible.
more open and
Yeah.
have more
They'll ask
experience.
him, why are you in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
My legs are broken. My legs don't work. Why?
They love the whys.
The whys is the favorite thing for 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
Why? 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 And he has to continue, he has to figure out how to answer it.
Mhm.
And he'd be like, "You understand now?" No, but that's okay.
Yeah. So do you think really tailoring maybe some of your presentations to our younger generations might make a difference?
Oh yeah, yeah. Start them early.
Yeah.
You know, that's that's kind of why I do this. You know, when I was first setting up this channel, they have a thing where you can have it's good for kids or not for good for kids, but somehow I couldn't put it up there. This is for good for kids.
Mhm.
But I'm here to tell you, if you have kids, let them watch the videos with you. Let them understand. Then they'll be like, "Oh, cool," and then maybe they'll have questions.
Or
And then,
take what they've learned and
yeah,
verbally discuss it with their children.
yeah, and if they have more questions, then you can ask the questions for them to me, and I'll try to find a way of answering them without using any vulgarity.
Yeah.
But now, but yeah, uh, yeah, I think that's the problem with this world. these parents today, they're so, what's the word I'm trying to say? I'm trying to be nice about it. You can't be nice about it, but you have to be. They're too willing to let their kids do their own thing. So they don't
There's
give
like
them
no structure.
right. They don't. There's no structure. There's no discipline. That's a totally different subject, but we're not going to go there. But that has nothing to do with disabilities, but still. But and there's no talking with families, and there's no parents getting asked by their children why is he in a wheelchair and he's got some kind of a disease. That's my favorite thing because then they're like, no, it's not a disease. It's just a spinal cord injury. Or my favorite one is, don't go near him. You'll get what he has.
Someone said that to you?
Yes. I'm
Oh
like,
my
really?
gosh.
God, it's like it's a spinal cord injury. I don't have cooties.
Yeah.
Oh, I do, but still. That's a totally different subject for a totally different day. But
yeah.
I mean, again, that's a stigma. That's a stigma of people with disabilities. People look at us and go, "Oh, he's special," and I mean special, not just special as a good thing.
Yeah.
They see us. They don't see us as wheelchairs as being smart. They think we're all IDD or intellectual disabled.
I think also sometimes people who are able bodied, there's this confusion on whether, you see somebody who's in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to stare or look at them because you want to treat them like you would anyone.
Right.
So you don't want to draw attention because you might not, just because you're in a wheelchair though, you don't want me to come up and be like, well, hi, how are you doing today? Because that would be treating you differently than maybe I would treat somebody else. If I make eye contact with you, I can like say hello or whatever.
With your eyes.
But do people ever go, like, do you get annoyed if people go out of their way to come and talk to you because maybe it is because you're in a wheelchair?
No, that really don't bother me. I'd rather them do that.
Okay.
I would rather them come to me.
Do you think that's how everybody in a wheelchair feels, or do you feel
no,
like it?
That's
it
just my
depends?
personal.
Okay.
My personal preference. I'd rather you come to me and talk to me. Don't stare and point.
Yeah.
And if you have friends, stare, point, and whisper.
Mhm.
And then I hate that. That's just like, if you got something to say, you come to me and say it to me.
Yeah.
That's just the good thing.
But you wouldn't mind if somebody just came up and just like said, "Hey, how you doing today?"
No, I was telling you off camera when I went to that concert on Saturday. The lead singer, I've known him for 16, 17 years. He comes up to me and gives me a hug and says, "Hey, buddy, it's so good to see you, man. Where have you been? Haven't seen you in such a long time."
Yeah.
And he ran to me.
Yeah.
His lead singer ran to me. All the band ran to me.
But you knew them, some of them.
I didn't know the whole band. I know most of them. But
they all came up.
They all came up to me and said, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Thanks for coming."
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff I like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the like tiptoeing around,
Okay.
like walking on glass.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful what you say. No.
Yeah.
Come to me, talk to me. So that's how I like things, and that's kind of why I do this stuff, because I want people to know that.
Yeah.
Just because you see me in a wheelchair doesn't mean I'm not angry. Which there are angry people with disabilities. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that acquire them. Since I've already had my disability since birth, I'm not angry. I'm not angry at the public. I'm more angry at the doctor that did this to me. But again, that's another story from a different day.
So how do you feel with? So we talked about like interactions and how people would approach you.
Mm-hmm.
What about as far as assistance? Like, do you find that people in the community like try to come up to you and see if you need help more? If you're like by yourself in the community, would you rather people just kind of let you be, or would you rather people offer if they see you maybe struggling to open a door or do something? Would you rather them come up and just ask? Like, do you find people like overhelp you? I guess.
No, there's no such thing as overhelp when
Okay.
it comes to persons with
Because you're also
disabilities.
supposed to be.
We're supposed
Some
to be
people want to be independent.
right, which for most cases it's that way. But since I'm not very mobile physically, I find that it's more realistic if somebody would come up to me and ask me to help.
So like asking first.
Yes,
Yeah.
like I get a
Not
lot of times.
assuming you can't, but saying,
Right,
"Hey, do you need help?" No. Okay.
right. I mean, you've seen that when you've gone with me to the presentations.
Yeah.
You were holding one door, and they try to open up the other door. You know, there's a bar in the middle.
Yeah.
But still, they tried to open the other door. And when they realized that
Because honestly, like, not that just because you have a disability, but if you're a person who wants to spread kindness and help others, you would help anybody who looks
right,
like they might need some help.
right, yes, absolutely. And that's what I like about this world sometimes. You know, there are nice people in this world.
They still exist.
Somewhere, deep down inside this world, there is some nice people. And a lot more evils. But
Yeah.
again, that's a different story. But yeah, no, a lot of times I go out and you need help with something. Let me help you with something. Or sometimes I'll have to ask. Like if they need help, do you need help with something? And it's like I hate to be a burden or a bother, but I have this straw that I use. Can you take it out of my book bag and put it in my class for me? Absolutely, no problem.
Yeah.
Or hey, if I go to a club, won't mention their names. It's an adult club, let's just put it that way.
Mm.
Which I go to every now and then, but if I go to one of them and I have to ask a waitress or dancer for that matter, hey, can you grab my wallet out of my book bag?
Yeah.
So I can pay for like a drink or whatever. Oh yeah, no problem.
Do you think people would take advantage of that though? Like,
Some
have you ever had anybody who would take money?
no,
That's good.
no, no.
Jacked up.
Yeah, there are people out there like it though.
Yeah.
But
Do you feel like you have to be careful who you ask?
yeah, especially at a place like that because it's dark.
Yeah.
You can't really see.
Yeah.
That well. I mean, you can see, but it's really dark in them. And but yeah, you really gotta be careful. They're like, here, let me grab your wallet. Let me come up in front of you so you can see what I'm doing. That's how you know they're trustworthy.
Yeah. When they like show you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there are some really good people in this world.
That's good. It's nice to be positive. But
But there are a lot of bad people in this world too.
yeah. Yeah, but we challenge you to maybe take some of the things John said and take them into perspective and realize, like, John, your opinion of things too. Um, you're not necessarily speaking for every single person who has a disability, but you're sharing your personal experiences,
Right.
and it's important to get to know each person um, with a disability to know maybe their preferences too about how they feel. But
And if you guys have helped somebody with a disability, open a door, help them with something, let me know. You know, I'd like to know if there are some nice people in this world that are actually seeing my videos. You know,
or if it's changing your perspective on how to interact or something
right?
like that.
Or is it let you really no, and see if these videos are actually changing the minds and helping us with the inclusiveness. Ooh, that's a big word for me.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Woohoo! Hooked on phonics worked for me.
I love it.
But yeah, because that's why I'm doing this. You know, everybody's so quiet. Yeah, I like message me, send me messages, like, view. But they're not really viewing. You guys aren't really viewing, which is fine. I guess people are busy and stuff like that, and I get it. So, but please don't be afraid. You got. It seems like everybody's afraid to. It seems like everybody's afraid to comment or something. Like they're afraid they're gonna hurt my feelings or something like that. Actually, what hurts my feelings is I'm not getting any comments.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any comments. I'm not getting any responses.
So you want feedback?
I want feedback. Let me know what I could do better. You know. And by the way, I'm not going to do it on this recording, but I do have I did create a Patreon, and I put it on the last videos that I did like 3 or 4 days ago, or 4 or 5 days ago. So if you do get this, look at this video, go to that video, and if you want to support the cause, go to my Patreon. Just a little $5 donation. That's all it is. And yeah, it'd really be helpful, and I really appreciate the. I really appreciate it. So, all right. Well, thank you again, Gabby,
Mm-hmm.
for a very deep talk, so to
My
speak.
pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, folks. Thanks again for coming. Um, like, subscribe, comment, quote unquote, big letters, capital, bold, comment on my all my videos, and let me know what y'all think. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.